All right, so with solving equations, basically here's the way it's going to work. You're going to look at whatever equation you have. And if you cannot solve it, because some of the questions you'll be able to solve it just like it's written. You're going to look at it and you go, oh, I've got my answer. But if you cannot solve it the way it's written, then you're going to rewrite it either if it's an exponential equation and you're not able to solve it, you're going to rewrite it in log form. If it's a log equation and you cannot solve it, you rewrite it exponential. So whichever form they give to you, if you cannot solve it, that's terrible. Solve it. Try it again. If you cannot solve it the way it's written, there we go. Yeah, I had to work on my English there a little bit. If you cannot solve it the way it is written, there we go. That makes more sense. Then we rewrite it. Now, the way the book is going to have you do this one, we're not going to show you the way that, and again, Math Excel will probably show you a different way. Textbook talks about a different way, but that's basically what we're going to do in every case that's here. So, whatever way it's written, look at it, and if you can solve it, that's great. If not, then you rewrite it, and then from there, you should be able to use your calculator one way, shape, form, or another. So. Okay, so let's say you have 2 to the x equals 16. Now, again, a lot of these cases, they will tell you to, now, sometimes they'll tell you to rewrite it with a common base. We'll show you that part in a second. But basically, here's what it comes down to. If this is the problem you have, it's an exponential form. Again, we're just going to go ahead and rewrite it in log form. So if we rewrite it in log form, we've got log, and again, the base is still 2. And again, we're going to switch these two numbers. There we go. And what we were saying yesterday is that if you've got it written like this, now you can use your calculator. It's log of 16 with a base of 2. And everybody check and see if you get the same answer here. Okay, so if that's the question you have, got a glare here. You're going to have to do log of the top number. So log of 16. Make sure you close off the parentheses and then divide it by log of 2. There we go. Answer should be 4. Okay, so now here's probably what in some problems they're going to tell you to do for problems like this. Some of the problems, and you don't necessarily have to write this down, just kind of watch. They will tell you to rewrite with a common base. Okay, and if that's the case, what they're telling you is if you have something like this where you've got 2 to the x equals 16, they're telling you that you can take 16 and rewrite it as 2 to a power. So if you have 2 to the x equals 16, 16, if you check, it would be 2 to the 4th power. So if 2 to the x power equals 2 to the 4th power, and then basically works with equations is if your bases are the same, then you can just get rid of your bases and then just say then that x equals 4. And then you've got your answer. Okay, so that's the way they want you to think about it. And that's the way they have to kind of used to do things back in the day before you had easy access to calculators. But since we've got so many calculators now, let's just know how to use your calculator and then go from there. Okay. So what we'll do on this one is all right, so with 3 to the x plus 5 equals 9. And again, we'll do this one, show you how to do it with a calculator, but also show you how to do it where they're going to ask you to rewrite it with a common base because some of the questions, they might actually make you rewrite it so it looks like this. So if they talk about rewriting it with a common base, we'll show you both of those as we're going through this one. So calculator first. So here we are in exponential form. again, if you're not really sure about what it is, let's just rewrite it in log form. So it's log base 3. Again, we're going to switch these two numbers. So we get 9 equals x plus 5. All right, so now we got a part we can actually do with our calculators. Do log of 9 with a base of 3. Everybody check it real quick, see what you get. Don't say the answer yet. Let everybody get it real quick.
You're not supposed to see it out now.
Yeah, so everybody get 2?
No, wait. What?
It's
two.
me. I'm confused.
Okay, so where are we at?
He just said it. He just asked.
Okay, so log base 3 of 9 is 2. We've got x plus 5.
No, it's 9.
It's negative 3.
So x final answer would be negative 3. Okay.
Stop.
Okay, so if you rewrite with a common base, and again, they might make you do this with some of the examples that's there, so they may kind of set you up to this one. So again, this side is base 3. But okay, you can take 9 and rewrite it as 3 squared.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if that's the case, if we take 9 and rewrite it as 3 squared, you've got 3x plus 5 equals 3 squared. Then if the bases are the same, you can throw the bases out, and you're left with x plus 5 equals 2. And now you're right back to this same situation. So now we know that x is negative 3. So this would be the part where they would tell you to do this without a calculator. But again, I'm not going to go through each question and give you like, here's the first part, do this without a calculator, and then a second part where we do it without a calculator. Or we could, just to see if your skills are good.
No, thank you.
It's a possibility. So.
Please no. I'm already like close to
Okay. Everybody good there? Everybody all right? All right, let's go 4 to the 3x equals 1 over 64. Okay, and again, going to rewrite it. So we've got log base 4 of 1 over 64 equals 3x. All right, and this is one. You've got to be just a little bit careful because we haven't done anything with fractions yet on these. So before we do the right side part of the equation, do the log of 1 divided by 64 with a base of 4 and see what you get. So there's where we rewrite it. And we're going to simplify just that part. Okay, so if you check that on your calculator, everybody get negative 3.
Wait, hold on. Let me.
Okay, so if we do log base 4 of 1 over 64, again, be careful with your parentheses. Make sure you enter it correctly because it should be the log of 1 divided by 64. Close your parentheses off. And then and again, that's the big thing is that as you're going through a lot of these problems, that whatever that log of that top number is, just make sure you close off your parentheses. If not, you're going to absolutely get the wrong answer. Bottom number, if you don't put it, that's not a big deal. Top number, you have to put it or you will get the wrong answer as you go through that. Okay, so we got negative 3. Yes.
I didn't get negative 3 either.
All right. Okay, and then last thing, divide by 3. So x should be negative 1.
How do you do the?
Oh my gosh.
Do what? Okay. Okay, so if we're going to rewrite these. Okay. Okay, so if you rewrite this one, if it was 64, that would be 4 to the 3rd. But again, because it's 1 over 64, that's where we change the answer from being a positive exponent to a negative exponent. So if they ask you to rewrite it with a common base, then that's what we'd have to do. Okay, and again, once you've got that, base 4, you can throw out the bases. You're back to 3x equals -3. And again, now you're back to basically the same thing that you have right there. So some of the questions, again, they tell you to rewrite with a common base is saying you don't have to use a calculator, but you can also use a calculator and get to the same answer. Okay, now here's somewhere they would not ask you to write it with a common base because there is no common base to be had done for anything here. So
Wait, so for like when you did example 1
Mhm.
and you did 4, that's the
Oh.
common base to get it to 2.
yeah, so
Like,
if
you're trying to
this
get it to the other number?
yeah, so this is base 2, they're kind of telling you, all right, you can also rewrite this one with base 2. And you're just figuring out 2 to what power would give me this number.
So we're trying to find the other number, like 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so example 4, this is one where they would not ask you to rewrite it with a common base because there's no way you can rewrite this one base 3, so it's got a base 2 that would be there. So this part, there's no way you can do this one. This one would have to be where you'd have to rewrite it in log form.
So that one you can't do rewrite with a common base.
Correct. Yep. Okay, so this one, if you rewrite it, you've got log base 2 of 3 would equal x. And this is one of those because you cannot rewrite it with a common base, they would have to tell you to round this answer off to some decimal place here. So if we do this one, it's log of 3. Again, close off parentheses. And if it helps you, just go ahead and hit enter. So you got log of the top number, and then do divided by log of the bottom number. So if you're getting some answers wrong as you're going through this one, that might be better. Just do log of the top number, hit enter, and then get log of the bottom number, hit enter, and then we're good to go. So they should tell you to round this thing off to either 1 or 2 or 3 decimal places. If we go 3 decimal places, we'll say it's 1.585 for that one. Okay. And again, some of them, if they don't ask for a common base, then if it just says to solve it, even if they say to solve it, rewriting with a common base, you can still just use your calculator because really when you get to here, you've basically kind of done what they've asked. That it's basically the same thing as base 4 that's here. So it's just a matter of, we're reworking it just to get there of how you want to get there. So, we'll say 3 in this case. Most of the time it's probably going 3. Since we got a lot of people maybe taking AP exam, AP chemistry, AP stats, AP whatever you've got, it's always 3 decimal places in all the AP courses. So we'll just do 3 decimal places, on what we're working with. Okay, so for example 5, let's go 3 to the x plus 2 equals 17. Okay, again, rewriting it. We've got log base 3 of 17 would equal x plus 2. All right, again, it's all calculator from there. So we got log of 17 base 3. That's going to be log of 17, hit enter, divided by log of 3. And they probably would tell you in this case to don't round this answer till you get to the very end. So where we've got this left number over here, where we've got log of 17 base 3, just leave that in your calculator. It's 2.5789. Leave all that stuff in there, and then you've got equals x plus 2. So then to get your final answer, then you would just subtract 2 from that number, and then that's what you would round off to get the answer you're looking for. So leave that whole big long number in there, subtract 2, and then that's the number we're going to round off. So again, if we go 3 decimal places, 0.579 would be the answer we're looking for there. Okay, so that's everything going. If you start off with log exponential expressions. So exponential expressions, if you look at it, and some of them, there's going to be a couple of questions on the test that's going to be just straight up something like that where it's just find log of 16 with a base of 2. And you're just going to tell me what the answer is. So there'll be some parts where it's just going to say, use the change of base formula to tell me what this equals. So there won't be anything to do on that one other than just grab your calculator and go. For log expressions, we'll get next here. We'll look at some options we got for this one here. Let's go log of 2x equals 1. Question, go for it. Okay, yeah, there is no base.
Isn't it based on that?
Yeah, so you can go ahead and put a base 10 there. Okay, and again, if that was just log of 2 and not 2x, we could punch it in the calculator. The x throws this thing off. You cannot use your calculator because the x variable that's here. So then for that part, you have to then rewrite it back in exponential form. So if we rewrite in exponential form, that's 10 to the first power equals 2x. Well, 10 to the first power is just 10. And if 10 equals 2x, then we know that x equals 5. And hopefully you're going, well, that's not bad. Okay. We'll just look at some different things they can do to you because there's a couple of different options. Most of them are going to be that straightforward. There'll be a couple that you might have to get, I wouldn't say creative, but you just got to know some certain things to do first if you've got something like this. Okay, so let's go log of 2x plus 1 with a base of 3, and that's going to equal 2. Okay, again, because the x is here, you cannot use your calculator, so then we've got to rewrite it. So it would make it 3 squared equals 2x plus 1. Okay, 3 squared is 9. And now you got just a regular solving equation, so then we'll subtract 1 from both sides and then divide by 2.
I'm a little.
All right, what you got?
How? What?
Natural logs. Okay, again, the natural log on the button, that's where we've got the capital N, the capital L button that's right below the log button that's here. That's that button. Again, on Math Excel, sometimes they'll do it in cursive, like so it's in a script letter, so it's LN. And sometimes they just use straight lowercase. So whether it's capital L, capital N, script L, N, or just lowercase LN, sometimes people are like, it was like EN, it's like an IN. It's all LN, doesn't matter how you look at it. We said yesterday that natural logs, you're going to use base E. So when you're simplifying these, that if you get ln and E right beside each other or connected, what does it say connected? Then the L and the E will cancel each other out. So anytime we're working with logs or E as your base for in this part, you're going to use the other one to cancel each other out for this part. And this is going to be like the easiest question in the world, and hopefully nobody will miss this question on the test. So on the test, if I give you a question that says, find the ln of e to the fifth. Yeah, so the ln and e cancel each other out. The answer is just 5.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay.
Okay. So if it was the ln of e to the 3x plus 4.
I know. So should it zero? Then do we solve it or is that
Well,
just it?
now this part will be just a simplifying, so we're not going to do any solving in this case. So if it just says to simplify, again, the ln and e knock each other out. So your answer would just be 3x plus 4. Okay. And again, those, if it's something like that, I'm not going to ask you to solve it. It's just going to be simplified because you might have a variable mixed in with it. You know, it may just be a number, but I'm just going to say, all right, if you have that, they should cancel each other out. You know, and that's all you're going to do. If it's the other way around where the e is first, you have like e to the ln of 7. But again, as long as the e and ln are touching each other, they cancel each other out. So that answer would just be 7.
Okay. I have a question.
Go for it.
You said if it's touching each other.
Yes.
So if it's like on the other side.
Then we got to do something to it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the next thing we do. So if you can, so that's a perfect world that if you can get the ln and the e's so that they're together, they cancel each other out. Whatever you have, that's other part that's there, that's the answer that you're going to get. Now, if it's not that way, because most of the time, so some of the time you're going to have it where obviously they're not going to be right beside each other. So here's what we're going to do.
So, like, what are the main purposes of natural law?
Okay, so basically do this one. To solve problems with ln, you're going to rewrite the equation with base e on both sides. And that way, again, if we do that, we've got the e and the ln that will be touching each other, that they're kind of connected in that case. And once you've got that part of it, then you just simplify or you solve from there, and then you're good to go. Okay, so the other ones we're just simplifying. These are ones we're actually going to solve as we go through this one. So that's one small thing just to kind of keep an eye on as you're going through these. If it says simplify, you just cancel out whatever's there. That's fine. If you're solving it, now we're actually looking for x equals some number as we go through this thing. Okay, so if we have the ln of 4x equals 3. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're still going to take that same equation that we have. But now we're going to rewrite it so that both of the sides are base e. Okay, and again, the reason we do that is if you've got the e and the ln that are touching now, those two things cancel each other out. You're left with 4x equals e to the third. And this is where you get to use your calculator again. Now you're going to do e to the third power. And again, your E button should be right behind your ln. So on the Casio or whatever calculator you've got for these, hit your second or your shift, whatever that top left button is, hit it so that now you've got the E. And we need E to the third. Okay, so that is 20.0855, all that stuff that's there. So we got 20.0855. Okay, and again, it would tell you to wait to the very end to round this thing off. So we got 4x equals this. That means we need to take this answer and then divide it by 4. So if we take and leave that whole entire answer there and divide it by 4, yes, question.
When you're done solving this equation, back up to the note.
So we should get 5.021. Okay, so going back up to this part.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, give you one more of those, and we'll get one where it gets a little sneaky on you. Let's do the ln of 9x minus 6 equals 4. Okay, so again, we're going to take the original equation we've got. We're going to take it to, so it's the ln of 9x minus 6, e raised to that power equals, and then e to the fourth power. Okay, again, the whole reason we do that is we've got the e and the ln touching each other now. They cancel each other out. Leaves you with just 9x minus 6 equals e to the fourth. Checking e to the fourth, that is 54.59815, all that other stuff that's there. So. Okay, so what we're going to do from there then is just think about your normal operations. After you've got this number, yeah, you're going to go plus 6. So go ahead and do plus 6. You get 60.598. And then you've got 9x equals that number. And then we're going to divide it by 9. There you go. So just leave that number in your calculator and then just work through and get the numbers you need. At the very end, that's the last thing you've got to simplify to get the number we're looking for. So x is, if we round it off, 6.733. Okay, so if you can rewrite it, and again, so anytime you've got the e that's there, or the ln, you're going to introduce the e as the base, and that way it will cancel the e and the ln, and everything else from there is just a matter of using your calculators and just working through those. And again, once you get this e to this number, just leave that in there, leave that whole number in. We're going to add 6, divide by 9, and that way you don't have to just keep rewriting it as you go through that one. Just kind of know that you're just going to leave it in your calculator and then round it off at the very end. If you round it off too early, you probably would still have an answer that's about the same, but it's probably going to be a decimal point or two off, and that would be just enough to throw your answer off and it not be correct. So just wait to the very end to round everything off. All right, now here's where they get just a tiny bit a little sneaky. Let's go with the ln of 2x plus the ln of 3 equals 2. Okay, so whether we're doing equations that are LNs or whether we went back to the ones we're doing just right before this, if you're doing logs on this one, if you have 2 logs, and again, these are still logs, they're just natural logs. So this is in this case where we've got a log here and a log here, they're just natural logs. Anytime you've got an equation where you've got these two things together, before you can rewrite it with base E, you've got to condense these things together. So that's why we're doing the condensing part yesterday, is that if we've got this equation, we've got to bring this back so it's just log of one expression. All right, hopefully you remember from yesterday. If we condense these back together with a plus in the middle, that means we've got to multiply 2x times 3. So it should be the ln of 6x. Equals 2. Okay, and now that's just exactly the same thing that we had before. Now we've got that part. We can do base E on both sides. So then we just need e squared. And again, from there, just let the calculator do the work. We've got e squared. And again, we'll figure out that e squared is 7.389. Again, just leave that in there because then we're going to take that number and divide it by 6. There goes 1.232 if we round that off to 3 decimal places. Okay, now here's one thing they might also do just to make your life a little bit less fun. They may ask for an exact answer because they want your life to be a little less fun. Okay, so if they ask for an exact answer right before you get this one, so basically when you leave this e squared here, if they ask for an exact answer, it would be e squared. Try that again. It'd be e squared divided by 6. So that would be an exact answer. This would be your answer rounded off to a certain decimal place. So some of the questions, again, they may do that to you where you've got, if you were dividing this by 6 to cancel this out to get here, they may ask you for an exact answer, but they may also ask you for a rounded answer after that one just to make sure that, just to know that if you needed an exact answer, you would have it there. Okay, so that's if you have ln. Let's show you a couple examples where you have e, and then once we show you a few examples with e, we should be getting pretty close to the end of it here. Okay, so if you have e, we're going to do the opposite. So last time we were looking at if we had ln, we took e as the base on both sides. Now we're going to already have it with base e. So if you have everything with base e, you're going to take the ln of both sides. So, and again, basically whatever they give to you, you're going to need something else to cancel it out, and that's going to be pretty much the whole case with every solving equation that we're going to go through. So if you have e to the x equals 12. Okay, so we're going to throw in an ln. So if we have the ln of e to the x equals the ln of 12, again, the ln and e are touching now, so that cancels out. You just get x equals ln 12. And again, if they ask for an exact answer, that would be the answer that's exact. If they ask you to round it, now you actually take your calculator, punch in the ln of 12, and tell me that's about 2.485. Okay, so exact is basically they're saying, all right, if you happen to not have a calculator on hand with you, which now everybody's got one, just tell me what the exact answer is, but we'll also go ahead and give you what the rounded answer would be. Okay, and there's only just a handful of things they can do to you here. So let's say we're doing e to the 3x plus 5 equals 12. That for this one, basically here's what we've got to do. We've got to get the e term by itself before you can simplify. Before taking the ln. Okay, so if you've got extra stuff around the e, like in this case, we got e to the 3x, which we're good with, but you've got this plus 5. Before you take the ln of both sides, you've got to get rid of everything that's around the e part that's there. So, yeah, so just subtract 5. So we've got e to the 3x equals 7. Okay, and then once we're there again, we'll take the ln of both sides. So again, the ln e cancel out. That leaves us with 3x equals the ln of 7. And again, if they ask for an exact answer, which in some of these cases they are, once we're here, we're going to divide everything by 3. So that would cancel out. So we get x would equal the ln of 7 divided by 3. And that's one of those that, again, if you're writing that one for the answer and how it is, that's where you got to be a little bit careful, because it's not the ln of 7/3, it's the ln of 7. Close off the parentheses, and then that answer divided by 3. So that would be the exact answer. Okay, all right, here's what I need to do. Everybody take your calculator. Practice on that one. See what you get when you plug that in with the calculator. See if everybody gets the same answer. Okay, so if we go ln of 7, again, make sure you close that number off first and then divide it by 3. It'll be 0.6486, or if we round off 3 decimal places, 0.649. Okay, everybody get 0.649, or anybody not get 0.649. Okay, all right, last one today. Let's go with 3e to the 5x minus 2 equals 1972.
Favorite.
1972 is not my birthday.
Oh,
Okay,
My consent.
my favorite.
all right. So again, yeah, I'm not 60 years old. All right, so we're trying to get this by itself, right? So same thing we did before. We've got this e to the x here part minus 2. So very first thing we're going to do is do a plus 2. Yeah, I was not born in 1972. However, I was born in 1974. Ah, see, there we go. We're almost there. Okay, now, problem with this one is, what if you try to take if you go ahead and take the ln on both sides like we were doing before?
You didn't divide by 3.
Yeah, there you go. Because the ln's not touching the e, right? They got to be connected. The 3 is messing things up, so you cannot take the ln yet. So for that case of it, before you take the ln, you are going to have to divide it by 3. So then we've got e to the 5x equals 1974 divided by 3. That would be 658. Okay, and now you can take the ln on both sides. So now you can throw in the ln of e to the x and then the ln of 658. Okay, so again, the ln and e cancel each other out. That makes it 5x equals the ln of 658. Again, they ask for an exact answer. That's the ln of 658, but we're going to divide by 5 to get the x by itself there. So it's the ln of 658 divided by 5. So there's the exact answer if they ask for that one. We'll also go ahead and do a rounded answer. So everybody go ahead, before I give an answer, go ahead and check, see what you get from this answer, and see what you get first before we tell you what the answer is. Okay, everybody get a chance to try it? All right, everybody get 1.298?